last few years, voles have become a real big problem here in Cache Valley, and here at Anderson Seed and Garden we've got a lot of options for you to prevent them from doing damage in your lawn. So a lot of times you'll see a lot of holes where they've made a little burrow, and can enter in. They'll get underneath your sidewalk and underneath sheds. But then during the winter time and even in the fall, they'll make little trails through your lawn, and they eat all kinds of plants. They'll get into your vegetable garden. They'll eat the vegetables. They'll eat trees. They'll eat the bark right off of the trees. So the voles can be a real big problem in the amount of damage that they do. Best way to identify them. Here's a picture of one. My cat brought one in last night, but I didn't feel like bringing the dead one down so you could take a look at it. But that's what the voles look like. They look very similar to mice. They have a very short tail to them, but instead of having a more pointed nose, they have more of a rounded nose, and they're a little bit more grayish in color instead of the brown. So the voles very similar in appearance to mice, but some distinct differences, and they multiply like crazy. So they multiply even faster than the mice do, and all of a sudden you've got a ton of voles running all over your yard, especially during the winter time. Once we get snow on the ground, then they will get underneath that snow, and we always call it Vole utopia underneath there. They reproduce like crazy. You start in November with 2 voles. By February you've got 200, and they've done damage all over the yard. So best way to prevent that is to there's a couple different ways to prevent it. So there's some nice repellents. This one's called Molego. It comes in a liquid or also in a granule. So we've got the granule right here. They are made from castor oil, and so the repellent is safe to use in your yard. It's not toxic to people or to pets, and it's very, very effective. They just don't like the smell of it. So castor oil is offensive to the voles, and so they will just leave and go somewhere else. This liquid you can hook onto your hose and spray your yard with it. You can do a perimeter treatment around your yard and try and hit some strategic locations around the yard where they might like to hang out. It lasts for about a month, so you'll get about a month's control out of the liquid or out of the granule, and you really won't notice the smell, but the voles will. The best way to, say you've got warrens and they're down underneath the ground, and you've sprayed but they just don't seem to want to go away. This fall we will have smokers, and here's a picture of them. I don't have any in stock yet, but they're on their way, and this is from Messina Animal Products, and it's a smoker. So you just unscrew the top. There's a wick inside there. You light the wick, and then you stick it down in the holes, and the smoke will permeate the entire tunnel system that they've got there, and you can actually find where the holes are because all of a sudden the smoke starts coming up through the holes. But the smoker is made from the same material, so it's a castor oil, and so it just makes the tunnels uninhabitable by the voles. So if you've got a tunnel system that you need to get cleared out and you don't want to use baits or poisons, the smokers work great because you just light those, stuff them down in the hole, pile of dirt in around it, and it will smoke that entire tunnel, and the voles will go running like crazy. We've had very, very good success. We had some samples last fall, and they worked amazingly well. So the smokers are a great way to clean out the tunnels. You can also use baits. This one's called Prosap. I've got a couple different ones. The nice thing about the baits is they've got little scoopers, and so you can pull a scooper out. You put 1 scoop down in the bottom of each hole. That's what the bait looks like. I'll grab a scoop of bait so you can see. It's just a grain-based bait, and this one actually has zinc phosphide on it. So the nice thing about the zinc phosphide is as it breaks down, it puts zinc and phosphorus back into your soil, so it's not going to be damaging or toxic to your soil, but when the voles eat it, it will kill them. And it's not going to damage or harm a second-generation critter that comes and eats them. So if you've got voles and you've got a dog, and you're afraid your dog's going to eat the voles after they've eaten the bait, the bait will kill first generation, but it's very, very minimal effect on second generation. So they'd have to eat 50 or 100 voles for it to really damage them, just the way the product is made up. So it's very safe for pets, especially when you're putting it down in the hole. So really what you want to do is find the holes, put a little bit of bait down in each hole, put a rock or a brick over the top of it, and that way they can't get out. They'll find the food, eat the food, and then it takes care of your vole problem. The other repellent that you can use, And these are made more for gophers and moles, but they actually work really well for voles as well too. And it's a solar powered sonic spike, and you put it down into the ground, and what it does is it just makes noise through the soil. And it's not a noise that you're really going to hear, but it's annoying enough to the critters that live, the subterranean dwellers that are living in the tunnels underneath the ground. They can hear it, and it sounds like subwoofers going off all the time. And so they just feel and hear that vibration going consistently, and it just drives them out, and it'll drive them back into the fields where they came from. Usually the voles are coming from an empty field out back or the vacant lot next door, and they're coming to find food. And so this is the time of year when they're going to be out and they're going to be looking for food. So at Anderson Seed, we've got some great options for you to try and repel the voles so they don't come in and start setting up home. But if they have, and you've already got tunnels, there's some great options to try and get rid of them and force them out of the tunnels, or kill them off as necessary so they don't do damage to your yard and your garden.